Good morning, sixth graders. Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys are all doing great today. We're going to go ahead and get started. You've seen this already with our book talk. Today's book talk is called El Defo by C.C. Bell. It is a graphic novel. So remember when we learned about that? It's kind of like a comic book, but it's a full-length novel. This book is especially cool because it is also a memoir, which means it is like an autobiography from a certain time period in the author's life. So this book is about a girl, the author, named C.C. Bell, and it's about when she was little and she had hearing loss and had to wear hearing aids and things like that. So it's just about her journey as a hard of hearing person. It's really funny and cute and relatable a lot of the way through, even for those of us who don't have hearing issues. But it's a really good book. I highly recommend it. I am going to be going to Ike, I think, on Friday. So if you are interested in reading this book, I will put it up in the office for you and then let you know when it's ready. So anyway, that's El Defo by C.C. Bell. Totally great book. You will love it. It's right there. All right, so moving on to our weekly planner. Today is Wednesday. So here is what we've got going on today. We're going to continue reading the story, The Circuit, and practicing writing ACE questions. So that's what we are doing today. Like yesterday, I'm going to go ahead and read as you follow along, okay? So we are reading The Circuit. Again, we're continuing that by Francisco Jimenez. Remember to annotate as you read. And annotate just means kind of to interact with the text. And I didn't go over this a lot yesterday. I went over some things, but you're going to highlight important parts. That's why I suggest you have a highlighter. If you don't have a highlighter, a yellow marker works. Or you can just even circle parts, things like that, and pencil. Then I always have students underline the parts you don't understand. So if there's a word you don't know, and some of the words in Spanish you might not know, or a whole part that you don't understand, you can just underline that. You can make notes in the margins about like what the story makes you think of, what it makes you feel. And then yesterday we talked about putting stars next to places where you saw evidence of change. Whatever feels right for you. There's no perfect way or right way to annotate. It is up to you. Okay, and actually we'll start reading now. Okay, and then we'll talk about the ACE questions and things like that. So we left off in your books on, I believe it's page 8. Again, I don't have your edition of the book, so I'm not sure if our page numbers are the same. Okay, but we left off we finished paragraph 18, and we are going into paragraph 19. When we last left off, the family had just moved from picking strawberries up to Fresno, and they just secured a home in a farmer's garage. Okay, so they're all staying together in the garage. That will be their home for the next few months. Okay, so starting with paragraph 19. I still felt a little dizzy when we took a break to eat lunch. It was past 2 o'clock, and we sat underneath a large walnut tree that was on the side of the road. While we ate, Papa jotted down the number of boxes we had picked. Roberto drew designs on the ground with a stick. Suddenly, I noticed Papa's face turn pale as he looked down the road. Here comes the school bus, he whispered loudly in alarm. Instinctively, Roberto and I ran and hid in the vineyards. We did not want to get in trouble for not going to school. The neatly dressed boys about my age got off. They carried books under their arms. After they crossed the street, the bus drove away. Roberto and I came out from hiding and joined Papa. Tien que tener cuidado, he warned us. After lunch, we went back to work. The sun kept beating down. The buzzing insects, the wet sweat, and the hot, dry dust made the afternoon seem to last forever. Finally, the mountains around the valley reached out and swallowed the sun. Within an hour, it was too dark to continue picking. The vines blanketed the grapes, making it difficult to see the bunches. Vámonos, said Papa, signaling to us that it was time to quit work. Papa then took out a pencil and began to figure out how much we had earned our first day. He wrote down numbers, crossed them out, wrote down some more. 15, he murmured. When we arrived home, we took a cold shower underneath a water hose, then sat down to eat dinner around some wooden crates that served as a table. Mama had cooked a special meal for us. We had rice and tortillas with carne con chile, my favorite dish. The next morning, I could hardly move. My body ached all over. I felt little control over my arms and legs. The feeling went on every morning for days until my muscles finally got used to the work. It was Monday, the first week of November. The grape season was over, and I could now go to school. I woke up early that morning and lay in bed, looking at the stars and savoring the thought of not going to work, of starting 6th grade for the first time that year. I sat at the table across from Roberto, but I kept my head down. I did not want to look up and face him. I knew he was sad. He was not going to school today. He was not going tomorrow or next week or next month. He would not go until the cotton season was over, and that was sometime in February. I rubbed my hands together and watched the dry, acid-stained skin fall to the floor in little rolls. When Papa and Roberto left for work, I felt relief. I walked to the top of the small grade next to the shack and watched the carcanchita disappear in the distance in a cloud of dust. 2 hours later, around 8 o'clock, I stood by the side of the road waiting for school bus number 20. When it arrived, I climbed in. Everyone was busy, either talking or yelling. I sat in an empty seat in the back. When the bus stopped in front of the school, I felt very nervous. I looked out the bus window and saw boys and girls carrying books under their arms. I put my hands in my pant pockets and walked to the principal's office. When I heard a woman's voice say, "May I help you?" I was startled. I had not heard English in months. For a few seconds, I remained speechless. I looked at the lady who waited for an answer. My first instinct was to answer her in Spanish, but I held back. Finally, struggling for the English words, I managed to tell her that I wanted to enroll in the 6th grade. After answering many questions, I was led to the classroom. Mr. Lima, the 6th grade teacher, greeted me and assigned me a desk. He then introduced me to the class. I was so nervous and scared at that moment when everyone's eyes were on me. I wished I were with Papa and Roberto picking cotton. After taking roll, Mr. Lima gave the class the assignment for the first hour. The first thing we have to do this morning is finish reading the story we began yesterday, he said enthusiastically. He walked up to me, handed me an English book, and asked me to read. We're on page 125, he said politely. When I heard this, I felt my blood rush to my head. I felt dizzy. Would you like to read? He asked hesitantly. I opened the book up to page 125. My mouth was dry. My eyes began to water. I could not begin. You can read later, Mr. Lima said understandingly. For the rest of the reading period, I kept getting angrier and angrier with myself. I should have read, I thought to myself. During recess, I went into the restroom and opened my English book to page 125. I began to read in a low voice, pretending I was in class. There were many words I did not know. I closed the book and headed back to the classroom. Mr. Lima was sitting at his desk correcting papers. When I entered, he looked up at me and smiled. I felt better. I walked up to him and asked me if he could help me with some of the new words. Gladly, he said. The rest of the month, I spent my lunch hours working on English with Mr. Lima, my best friend at school. One Friday, during lunch, Mr. Lima asked me to take a walk with him to the music room. Do you like music? He asked as we entered the building. Yes, I like choros, I answered. He then picked up a trumpet, blew on it, and handed it to me. The sound gave me goosebumps. I knew that sound. I had heard it in many choros. How would you like to learn how to play it? He asked. He must have read my face because before I could answer, he added, I'll teach you how to play it during our lunch hours. That day, I could hardly wait to get home and tell Papa and Mama the great news. As I got off the bus, my little brothers and sisters ran up to meet me. They were yelling and screaming. I thought they were happy to see me, but when I opened the door to our shack, I saw that everything we owned was neatly packed up into cardboard boxes. Okay, so that's the end of this story. This story does come from a book called The Circuit, and I do have that in our classroom too. So if you are interested in reading the whole book, you can always email me and I will put that aside for you. So I love this story. My 6th grade son thought it was boring, but he kind of thinks everything's boring these days. It's kind of hard to for him with distance learning. So anyway, I loved it though. Hopefully you found some enjoyment in it as well. Okay, and now for what we are really working on today, again, the ACE method. Really, again, there are 3 parts to the ACE method. So your answer should always be at least 3 sentences. You're going to do one of these in each. I went through and answered these myself yesterday after class, just so I could show you. And I highlighted the different parts. So the A is answering the question. And you should always answer the question in a complete sentence. So the question was, what kind of work do the narrator and his family do? So I put, the narrator and his family are migrant farm workers. Then we're going to cite details. Okay, we're going to cite the text. So I have my sentence starter here, according to the text, comma, quotation marks. The peak of strawberry season was over. These 3 dots right here show that I took out some information from the middle of the story. If there's one part here and then one part a little ways down, but the middle part is not that important, I don't need to type all that out, okay? So I put the peak of strawberry season was over. The thought of having to move to Fresno, knowing what was in store for me there, brought tears to my eyes, okay? So, and there was some other information in the middle, and that's what those 3 dots stand for. So I hope you guys understand that. If you don't, make sure you ask me later. And then I explain my evidence. So I write, this shows that the narrator will be moving to a new place because strawberry season is over. Okay, so the family moves, just like they're about to move again, to wherever there are things to pick. Okay, so that's what a migrant farm worker is. A migrant means to move. Okay, so then the next question from yesterday. On page 7, the narrator refers to the garage as home. That should just be one. What actions do the family take to make it a home? What does this tell us about how the family faces change? Okay, and this one kind of has 2 questions, so I answer both of them. The narrator and his family face change with positivity and begin to clean the garage to make it their home. Okay, so I answered in a complete sentence. Now I'm going to cite the text to show how the text backs that up. Papa plugged the holes in the walls with old newspaper and tin can tops. So that is the evidence from the text. That's the part that is directly from the text. Then this is important because it shows that the family wants to clean the garage and make it nicer, even though it is not an ideal living space. So even though they're living in a garage, they still want to make it as nice as possible. They want it clean because that is their home. Okay, so again, those are the questions from yesterday. I just wanted to show you some examples to make sure that you are on the right track. All right, so today's questions, the first one, starting with paragraph 22, the narrator gets ready for school. What kinds of feelings does he have about leaving the family's work and going to school? Highlight text that helps you answer the question, and you can do that in your book. Okay, so you can go ahead and do that. I'm going to start this one. I'm going to help you answer it. So I'm just going to say, the narrator, the narrator feels excited to go to school but he also feels a little guilty because he knows his older brother. Okay, hold on. He knows his older brother is feeling sad because he is not going to school yet. Okay, then you're going to find something in the text that backs that up. So I'm going to start this for you according to the text. And if you want to write your own thing, comma, quotation marks, you can write your own thing. Okay, you don't have to write according to the text. You do need some sort of sentence starter, but that's up to you what it is. Okay, but I'm just getting that started for you. Then you are going to find a quote from the text, just one sentence that shows how the narrator is feeling. And then you will write one more sentence to explain it in your own words. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing for you here. Okay, so on page 7, I just don't like how high this is. Okay. Sorry, guys. On page 7, the narrator refers to the garage as home. What actions? Oh, shoot. Never mind. That's the wrong question. Okay, the other question that you are supposed to answer, let's go back up here, is question number 7. So not on page 7. You're going to do question number 7. Let me correct that super fast. You can look in your book too, but question number 7 says, reread page 9. What is the most important episode for the narrator at school? And why is it important? Okay. So to start that sentence, you're going to answer the question in a complete sentence. So that might sound something like, the most important episode for the narrator at school is, okay, and then you'll fill that in. And then this one, you're going to have 2 questions, or 2 sentences would be best. And then you're going to say, this is important because, okay, and you're filling in those blanks, okay? This is important because, then you will cite the text. According, or let's say this for this one, the text states, comma, quotation marks, and then you'll continue, okay? And then you'll write a sentence explaining how the text proves your answer. Okay, hopefully that is all clear. So today we read already. You're going to use your book. You're going to answer questions 6 and 7. They're on page 11 of your book. Okay, and they're also right here, so you can refer back to that. All right, take a little break. We are going to move into social studies in just a moment. So push pause for as long as you need. Stretch, get a drink of water, maybe a little snack, pet your dog, whatever you need to do, and then come back for social studies. Oh, you're back. Welcome. Okay, so now we are going, again, we're doing social studies and we're continuing on with our digital citizenship lessons. Today is going to be shorter. We're going to talk about digital drama unplugged. So let's go ahead and go through these. I am actually not going to go through the entire slideshow with you. I'm not going to go through a few of the activities just because they're hard to do in through a screen. So anyway, this is that. Essential question. How can we de-escalate digital drama so it doesn't go too far? Sometimes when people are behind a screen, they can be really rude. They can say things that are unkind and drama ensues, but we don't need that in our life. We don't need that stress. So we're going to try and not have that as part of our life. So, learning objectives today. We're going to reflect on how easily drama can escalate online. We're going to identify de-escalation strategies for dealing with digital drama. Lastly, we're going to reflect on how digital drama can affect not only oneself, but also those around us. Okay, so if we were discussing, this is always important, we would respect each other's viewpoints, we would not interrupt, we would assume positive intent. And what that means is assume that people, or give people the benefit of the doubt that they're trying to be positive and they're not trying to be mean or hurt your feelings or be rude, okay? So just please always assume that people are trying to be nice. And then the last one is disagree respectfully. So if you disagree with somebody, which is perfectly okay, just do it respectfully. So how does drama, which is emotional conflict between people, happen online? And can you think of any examples? Okay, so take a moment to think silently about this question. Okay, and you can push pause. So think about, and you can, instead of sharing out with a partner, jot a few ideas down. So again, the question, how does drama, emotional conflict between people, fighting, arguing, things like that, happen online? And can you think, of any examples? So take a moment and jot those down. Push pause if you need more time. What is digital drama? Digital drama, this is like a vocabulary word, is when, where did you go? Okay, when people use devices, apps, or websites to start or further a conflict between two people. So you see this a lot of times in the comments section. You can see it on YouTube. You can see it on Facebook. People are often rude, okay? And so through social media, it's on there a lot. It's just basically people arguing online. Not the coolest thing in the world. Okay, so this is slide 7. We're going to be watching this video. I will start that.
Digital drama is a thing. There are ways to avoid digital drama, but I think it's mainly inevitable. You need to get ready to have something said that maybe you won't like. On social media, everything social-wise gets a bit more intense. It just causes so much unnecessary drama, I would say. Sometimes I need to take a break from it, sometimes it's too much for me, and then if there's drama going on, I'll set it aside. And even though there are steps that we can take to reduce it, it's not going to end. You can say anything over text, which you would never actually say in real life. It's so much easier to fight with your friend over the phone than it is to fight with your friend in person. That's a new thing.
People can just hide behind, certain accounts in certain places on social media and just say whatever they want to say. We kind of have this disconnect that I think sometimes social media can cause, where it develops almost a tolerance for a lack of empathy. It's really important to think about how other people are going to take it, because whatever comment you make could be seen by thousands of millions of people. More than ever, where somebody makes a mean comment and they get put on blast for it.
You don't see the other person's reactions, so you just keep on going. You don't know if the person is sad. You don't know if they're angry. You don't know what they're thinking about you. Social media can turn into sort of a negative space when there's a lot of anonymous posting. No one else knows who that person is, so it creates a lot of tension and drama within friend groups. In the comment sections of posts that are viral or popular, I'll see someone voicing an opinion, and all of a sudden there'll be a thread of even hundreds of comments, people just arguing, not even knowing each other. You could get insulted very easily, on your appearance, on your just anything that you say, anything that you put out onto the internet. Something so small can escalate to something so big, and as it escalates, the topic can completely change to something that's really big. People that I know actually worry about how many followers they have compared to other people, if they're not getting as many messages. When I see the people around me getting into drama on social media, kind of makes me not want to be on social media. It just seems easier to not be a part of that.
I have a couple friends who are very close, but they fight a lot. I'll get screenshots of their conversation from both of the people just being upset and sending long paragraphs about how upset they are. And instead of talking to each other about it in person, so I've suggested to both of them multiple times.
I would say I'm more comfortable talking face to face because like on social media, it's hard to like communicate like a sense of realness and like emotions.
The best way to deal with digital drama is to leave what's happening. Maybe it's a group chat that you're in, just to leave that, because the more that people talk about it, the more that people are going to think about it, and the more you might get into it and you might say more things.
It is really easy to get your feelings hurt, but you just gotta it's just kind of, they're just hiding behind a screen basically.
I think the best way to deal with digital drama and help mediate it is, first of all, I always suggest talking in person because that's always easier.
Avoiding confrontation is something that I'm trying to be aware that I don't do. A way that I can just disassociate myself from the negativity is to just not respond.
All right, so that is it on digital drama. I do think it's important to just walk away when things are getting ugly. And again, remember that anything you write in a comment section, anything you write in a text can be seen by anyone. People can screenshot anything, share anything. It's crazy. So always, always remember that before you write something, that would you be okay with your parents seeing this, with your teachers seeing this, with your grandma seeing this? Okay, make sure that no matter with any friend seeing this, don't talk smack about other people behind their backs. Okay, so just remember that people can see anything that you wrote. So that's that. Always be kind. You guys are amazing. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.